Hey, it's Matt Pinfield. This is KLOS, new and approved. And my guest tonight is a guy that I've been wanting to get on the show for a while. I'm really excited that he's here. It's Wolfgang Van Halen, who you know also as Mammoth WVH. Wolf, good to see you, man. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's really great to see you. You know, you've been number one on the countdown for a few weeks now, and that's really exciting for me. I've been able to play you almost every week on the show and constantly, and it's really great that we finally get to catch up. Hey, so talk
Absolutely.
to me about making the record, because the album came out. It's 14 strong songs. Talk to me about recording it and when you started working on these tracks.
Yeah, we started in the studio way back in 2015, January of 2015. Worked on and off with my producer, Elvis Baskett. Um, and then I went on tour with Van Halen halfway through 2015, and I ended up writing like 10 to 15 more songs. So when I got back, we recorded almost double the amount of songs that we had beforehand. Um, so it was really a matter of like through the process figuring out which songs were the most important, or just which songs had the most value initially, and so it was really fun to kind of figure out, one, just who I was as an artist through the whole process, and two, finding what would be the best kind of debut collection of songs.
Now I know it's pretty amazing. I think if I'm not mistaken, your dad first started teaching you how to play around like 12 years old, right? Was it around 12?
Taught me how to play drums, just with like a regular old Highway to Hell style beat, and then he taught me how to play 316 and on guitar when I was 12 because I wanted to play it for a talent show, and then he taught me power chords, and then he kind of pushed me, and I figured out everything else on my own.
I think that's great. Now, was it exciting or was it kind of trial by fire when you went out on tour with the band in 2015? I was at those shows, of course, and I saw a bunch of them, and I thought you did a great job. I mean, it rocked, and I loved seeing you and your dad together on stage. I mean, there was just something, and your uncle. There was something really cool about that. There was just this really cool family warmth thing going on, and I love that. Tell me about what that experience was like going out every
Oh,
night
it's
and
the
playing
best.
with
Just
your
being
uncle.
able to make music with my dad and my uncle. Uh, I'll never forget it. Some of my favorite moments just ever.
That's great. Now, speaking of which, you know, the song "Distance" is such a beautiful song. It's an incredible track that you wrote as a tribute to your dad. Um, was that something like? I mean, that had to be a very emotional thing to do, even to record. What was that experience like for you, Wolf?
Yeah, it was. I wrote it around the same time as everything else. And But yeah, it's definitely a really emotional track. It was one of the first few vocals I had tracked, so it was a big thing to try and figure out because I was also trying to figure out what my lead vocals were going to be like, and kind of struggling with if I had the confidence to be able to pull it off. So yeah, a whole bunch of stuff riding in on that moment when I was recording it. It was a big thing.
Now, this is 14 songs on this album as a debut, and it's all strong. How did you narrow it down? I mean, you said you wrote a bunch of songs. Would you say you had a good 40 or 50 songs to choose from at that point?
I'd say more like 30.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it was a matter of just going through the process and kind of chasing what was more exciting, and when it was like, when it came down to the wire, it was like, hey, these group of 4 or 5 songs, well, let's just kind of save for next time. And throughout the process, you just kind of whittle it down, and you find uh, where you feel the most important stuff is. And
Tell me about playing all the instruments on here. I mean, there's only so many people that can do that and make it sound, like a guy like Prince is a great example. But there's only so many people can pull it off where it doesn't sound like one dimensional. I mean, your stuff sounds extremely dynamic. Talk to me about the decision to play all the instruments yourself, and
uh,
and what it was like learning each one, and the
yeah, it
process.
was more of a personal challenge than anything else. I figured since I could play everything, I might as well try.
Yeah.
and see how good. I've always really admired how Dave Grohl did the very first Foo Fighters album. So I guess that's what gave me the most inspiration. It's like that's really cool. I want to see. I guess I want to have a go at it.
Now I've been told that speaking of Dave Grohl, that Foo Fighters are one of your favorite bands. Nine Inch Nails. There's a few other. Who are your favorite bands? Obviously, so many people have loved and been inspired, by your dad and your uncle. But what were you listening to growing up? What were the records that were super important to you?
Yeah, between like Foo Fighters, like you said, Nine Inch Nails, Tool is a big one, AC/DC. Jimmy Eat World is another really important band to me, just melodically, and I love their sense of melody. Um, let's see, Queens of the Stone Age, Alice in Chains, um, and I think I'll always have just kind of Van Halen in me in general, just by being around it my whole life.
Yeah, I mean it's great. Talk to me about this song "Don't Back Down" because this song is. I love this song. It feels like it's one of those songs that you could hear, at a stadium, but it's also a very motivational song. You know what I mean about just sticking to your guns. Talk to me about.
Yeah, it's kind of like the fight song of the album, if you will. The one you kind of throw on when you want to beat the crap out of the other team.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's a fun one because it was really early on. It was just this sort of Black Sabbath sort of chuggy vibe, and it was really fun to kind of explore that by using we used this really cool fuzz pedal for the main sound of it. It was fun.
Being a kid and growing up around 5150, of course, the studio and being right there at home. When did you first start experimenting with recording yourself? And was that something that your dad had showed you?
No, it really wasn't. I didn't really take it seriously until I started writing for this project. And initially, I just kind of was just recording myself on my computer. I taught myself Logic just to be able to put demos together. And I put one of the very first demos for the song Mammoth together, like in 2013. Um, so any other experience I had with recording was just as a musician and not really figuring out how to do it.
Elvis Baskett is a great guy. I know him pretty well from, doing A&R at Columbia Records all those years that I worked there. And Elvis was just worked on a lot of great records. Good, solid, great guy. Tell me about why working with Elvis and why he was your choice for producer.
Yeah, he had produced the two Tremonti albums that I played on, and throughout that whole recording process, we really bonded. And during our downtime, I would show him some demos I was working on, and he was really interested in it. So we carved some time out when we were done, and that's when we started in 2015. And from there, we just kind of really hit it off, musically and just friendship wise. So he's him and his engineer Jeff, like we're partners for life.
That's great. I know your dad was really proud of you. Is there a moment on tour when you were doing those Van Halen shows? Was there one time in particular, one certain memory that you remember was just like this really incredible moment where you were on stage and said, "Look what I'm doing. I mean, it couldn't be better. I'm here with my uncle and my dad." Tell me about that.
I mean, that was just kind of a feeling that was constantly, throughout the whole thing. Just being able to do it, and we were just such a unit, the three of us, on stage, and it was a really good time. It was a really fun time playing the Hollywood Bowl on the last tour. That was really special. Those two shows are really special.
I got to give you so much credit too. I mean, just to go through the loss of your dad and everything that I mean, and obviously because everything is very public, and and you came out and spoke about it, of course, before anybody else, because people. I mean, I thought that was great that you just took the lead on that to say how you felt, because you knew that people would be, like the press and people would be trying to do that. What was that experience like for you, Wolf?
It's an odd thing, and it still is, and I think it'll always be a really weird thing because he's my dad, but to all these people he's someone else, and a lot of people feel this sense of ownership, that almost like their relationship with my father was more important than the relationship I shared with him. And so it's a really odd like duality that people don't really understand, that I'm a person too.
Yeah.
Who it's a really hard thing that I I try to understand all the time, which is why I you know respond to the trolls on social media. It's just a really interesting thing to me. It's like where do these thoughts come from? It's a really odd thing to deal with all these people who just seem to I don't know. It's a really odd thing. I haven't figured it out yet.
But it is weird, yeah, because people, I don't think they understand that what it's like, the love, love of family, you know what I mean, and how important that relationship is with your father and with your
Yeah,
family.
I mean, we're all just people.
Yes, we are, right? Exactly.
Like people don't get that, because they've listened to Dad for so long that he's more than a person to them. But we're all just people.
And that was the thing. My experiences with your dad was he was just one of the nicest, kindest, coolest. He was a nurturing guy. He was, like I said, when I would spend time with him over at 5150, he was always so kind. He'd want to play tracks for me and sit in the studio for a couple hours, and when everybody else left, and he was just so cool. I mean, I just, that'll always mean so much to me. And then, he got my friend engaged on stage at Madison Square Garden. We were having dinner and we were joking around like, hey, wouldn't that be a cool idea? And your dad went, let's do it. It was just amazing. It was just it was a life-changing thing for my friend who,
That's great.
and stayed in touch with your dad, which was so cool. So, but it was amazing. So, as you're going out on the road, tell me about how that decision came about. Because I know you're friends with Slash, but you're going out with Guns N' Roses. I think that's such a cool thing that you're going to be able to do those dates. Tell me how that transpired.
Yeah, it was just we had just finished everything with our release and was planning it, and Slash and the guys are getting ready to go out, and it all just kind of lined up. I'm super honored that they even thought about us to open for them. I think it's it's a huge honor. It's really insane. I still haven't fully processed it yet, and I don't think I will, even while we're playing shows.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I know your dad would be so unbelievably proud of you with this record, because like I said, I think the songs are so strong. it is a great album. It's one of the best things I've heard in a while. Literally, as a whole work, as an album. Which I can't say that about a lot of albums all the time. You know what I mean? There's some that have a couple good songs. You know what I'm talking about. So I was really, really knocked out by it and impressed, so, and I just wanted you to absolutely know that. What is, so can you tell me about the song Epiphany? Because it's one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah, that was one, it's funny, that's actually the demo title of it, because it kind of came to me while I was cleaning my kitchen. And normally whenever I come up with an idea, I just kind of record it on my phone and take care of it later. But that was one of the few ideas where I just ran right up and to my computer and recorded it on Logic. And the basis for it ended up really being close to the finished product here on the album.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing that you were able to do that and take, the demo and make it work the way it did.
I think there actually is there was like this cool effect I ended up getting on the demo that I think we lifted, this little high part that's playing through the chorus that was originally from that demo that's still in the track, which is cool.
Because it's one of those things that it's one of those great happy accidents, right? Where it just,
yeah, you can't figure out how to replicate it, so might as well just lift it from the demo and throw it in there.
That's great. Now, obviously, we were talking about all those bands that you loved, and these are people that I've known for many years, and your dad knew, and you probably come into contact with a lot of them too. Who would you, if you had a chance to collaborate with someone, one of those bands that you mentioned, or one of your heroes, who would you love to do some work with?
I think I had this really fun thought where I thought it'd be really fun or really crazy cool to collaborate with Dave Grohl and also with Ilan Rubin, who plays drums for Nine Inch Nails, because we each play everything.
Yeah.
So it'd be a really fun project to see, of just, what do you play for this song? What do you play for this song? And kind of swap around the whole time. I think that'd be crazy.
That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? I think it'd be awesome. I would love that. So, once you're done with the tour for Guns N' Roses, do you think you'll go out and do some headlining shows as well, Wolf?
It's certainly possible. I can't see the future, but I wouldn't see why not.
Is there a possibility you might do a warm-up show in LA or something like? Is there been any discussions?
Possibly. That's another thing where it's like I think that remains to be seen, because we're just about to start rehearsing.
Yeah.
I think as soon as we figure it out, we'll know. But
Yeah.
right now, it's certainly a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I look forward to it. Hopefully, I'll definitely see you at one of the GNR shows. And, if you do a club show as a warm-up, yeah, I will definitely be there as well. I know that we're really excited for you. We love the record here at KLOS, and, we're really excited to see you take it to the stage. So, Wolf, thanks so much for taking the time to do this with me today. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
It's
for having
great,
me.
and I wish you all the best. And it's great to finally have you in. I know we were talking about it for a while, but and the pandemic was slowing things up. But the good news is everything's starting to return to some sense of normalcy.
I'm back.
Yeah,
I'm back. Very exciting.
I think it's great. So great catching up there with Wolfgang Van Halen. Don't forget, the new album is out, Mammoth VHN. I'm Matt Pinfield. Thanks for watching KLOS New and Approved.